Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the FullStack Network. How are you doing today? How are you doing this fine evening, I should say? Um, Today, I am going to work on some Golang. Um, so the project that I'm going to work on is the micro authentication proxy that I've done about a week ago. And that authentication proxy, so we can revisit this and see what's going on. So Kenso dev and micro auth proxy. So we have this authentication proxy for currently it's only GitHub. And what I want to do is integrate it with Auth0. Auth0 is a very popular kind of authentication mechanism. And I want to add Auth0 as part of this authentication process. So instead of only GitHub, you will be able to configure multiple authentication contexts. And that will basically be configurable. Okay. So there it is. And yeah, without further ado, we are going to get started. Not Q, what's up? And Jaxo, how are you? All right, so hey, we have more working on Golang. Yeah, so you're working on your Golang project. Yeah, let me drag the chat over here. Maybe that will make it a little bit better here. Great. So you're working on your Golang project with RabbitMQ. Elasticsearch load and dealing with some minor challenges. Cool. So would you like a break and pair programming here, or are you going to continue with your stuff? Okay. Continuing to feel pretty derp because I haven't dealt with DBs really before, but getting there. Cool. So I have to say, I've been ever since I published the project, and as you guys know, whatever I do on the stream and whatever whatever content I publish, I always try to do my best to make it reasonable and make it good. So when I published this project, I really believed it could be a really good learning resource and teaching resource for engineers and future engineers. And I have to say, I am really, really, really happy with like the progress that people are making. I'm humbled and flattered that so many people follow this and were able to kind of pick up the project and believe in it. I definitely love the questions that I'm getting, and it requires, every time I talk about this, I feel like I shouldn't be talking about this, but it requires a lot of effort. It's basically time out of my day and context switching and everything, but I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it, and I love answering the questions, and I love seeing the people struggling. And when I say I love to see the people struggling, I don't mean that in a mean way. I definitely mean that in a good way, because struggling on a project like this is amazing, because even if you solved all the LeetCode problems you can think of, a project like this, as simple as it may seem, does not even begin to explain all the things you don't know. So I definitely really love seeing the people kind of struggle and seeing the level of questions. And again, I'm so proud to see that, and so humbled to see that people kind of followed and definitely took to it. Yeah, definitely love it. Definitely. So keep it coming, and keep making me proud. I'm stoked. Seriously, I'm stoked. Ka, hey Kenzo and chat, welcome. Hey Ka, how are you? Cameron Nicholson, hi. How are you doing today at this fine evening? Awesome. Okay, so awesome. So let's see what we need to do. As always, we are going to our good friend, the whiteboard, and let's go ahead and draw some things. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and draw what we're going to do today, right? So again, we don't even need it, but we have this get request to something, and this is our proxy. And if we're authorized, then we continue and we let you into the other servers. And if you're not, then we authenticate it with this GitHub context. And what I want to do is basically just replace it with Auth0 here. All right. So I want to replace it with Auth0. It's a very popular mechanism, and it's a mechanism we use at work as well. So there's definitely some value for me for adding this, and we need to work on it. All right. So the way this works normally is that you log in, right? So even Auth0, they have a dedicated kind of page, so you can see that here. They have kind of a hosted page that you can configure. So then you log in. If you're able to log in, then you get a code. And this is a one-time code, which then you use to query the mechanism again for Auth0, and you check whether this code is valid. So you say, hey, is this code valid? And if it is, then you basically get back, hey, this code is valid, and this is what you want, and you go ahead and exit the happy path. All right, so this is happy, and you exit the happy path, right? Okay, so anyway, if something here is wrong, this is sad path, so sad. And if something here is wrong, then you go to the sad path, and if something here is wrong, then you go to the sad path again. Okay. Right. So let's see what's going on Twitch. I am planning to start learning Golang as soon as I get some free time. Your videos inspire me to learn something new every day. Thank you, man. Thank you. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. And this is why I do it. This is why I do it. This is why at 8 p.m. After an entire day at the office and production issues and stuff like that, I still sit down here and hack with you guys, and we have 16 viewers, and we hack together and we have fun. So I definitely do that to inspire and do that to help people. So you have no idea how much that means to me that you say that. So I thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. Okay, cool. So now let's go ahead, and this is the first time that I am working with Auth0. So what I want to do here is see what's going on. All right, so now here, let's go ahead and do sort of a quick start what do we have here with the quick start? So let's say single page app. Okay, so this is the React. Cool. So we have the React login, get your application keys. Cool. Add authentication, create an authentication service. Okay, so this creates the service. And then this is the service. And then once this is here, then we get auth result access token, and ID token. All right, cool. Now here it is different because we have a hosted page. And then we need a way to basically do it without this. So let's go ahead and look at the quick start here. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to go back here. Cool. Right, so let's say we have a web app. Let's say we have Go, so this is cool. Add Auth0 callback handler. Cool, so let's go ahead. So we have Auth0 domain, we have an Auth0 client ID, client secret, and callback URL. And then we have an auth URL. This is the domain. Awesome. And then get query. This is the code. And then the token is conf.exchange. Oh, so there is an Auth0. Okay, cool. Oh, so I could have actually done that for GitHub as well. Okay, so then we have the token. What? Cool. And then we do client conf.client Auth0 no context token. Oh, this is weird. Okay, so then this, and then response.error user info. Great. So then what do we have here in the response? So then profile is map of strings, and we get a session. App.store.get auth session, and then ID token, access token, and profile. All right. And then we redirect you to the user. Okay. Okay, so your callback URL should be this, and the redirect URI should be this, and then triggering the login. Okay, so for us, the login is the callback URL. Okay. So what do we need here, really? So we do need this, like scope, OpenID, and profile. And then we have the token. So I wonder what is the user info that we're getting here. Do we get an email or what do we get? But what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to copy some of this. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our project. src, github.com, cancel dev, and micro auth proxy. Let's create a new tmux session here. Open the tmux session on the other side. And then let's add to the git ignore. So we'll add this, and then here dot auth0 credentials, and then we'll also add the dot github. So we'll add that to the git ignore, and let's commit this. Awesome. And what else? We have a diff here. What is this? Okay. Really? I don't know if I do want that. So go test here. And our test still passed. Great. So we are on a somewhat of a clean slate. And all we have now is the GitHub authentication proxy. And what we need now is, okay, so let's go ahead actually and change some things. Okay, so let's go ahead and log into Nightbot and have commands. Okay, so GitHub is this. So let's go ahead and add the GitHub. And let's go ahead and add the working. All right, so today we are working on the Golang authentication proxy, adding Auth0 support. Okay. And then submit. And this is YouTube. And then we have the uptime. Now let's go ahead and look at the Trello. And is this a microservice proxy? Yes, it is. Okay. So let's go ahead and check this out and add that to the Trello as well. Awesome. So GitHub token validation listener tied to GitHub. This is done. If you don't have a client ID and a client secret, readme for everything, including Sketch. Yes, this is done. The auth HTML should become a template file. This is yet to do. And this is still to do because I haven't really started that. Okay. So now what we need is configuration for configuring GitHub and Auth0 separately. And this is not how you spell separately, evidently. This is how you spell it separately. Okay, great. And then what we need is adding Auth0 basic support. So adding Auth0 basic support. Awesome. So in order to add Auth0 basic support, what we need is to extract the authentication context into an interface and load the correct interface using the configuration. All right. So let's go ahead and start that out. Okay, so now configuration.go. We have Auth Context. Oh, so we already have that. Okay, so let's look at sample config.yaml. Testconfig.json. There it is. So Auth Context is GitHub. Okay, so where are we actually using that? Are we even using that in our program right now? I don't think we do. Oh, we do. So here, and then here. Oh, awesome. Okay. So did I really already did that? Did I? What? Wait a minute. So authentication context, get authentication context, returns authentication context, and authentication context. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm like, how is that even possible? Did like, oh my God. I literally do not remember coding it this way, but I am proud of myself for doing it. Okay, so I already have an authentication context as an interface, which is access token valid and username authorized, and get username and get HTTP endpoint prefix, and then serve HTTP. So everything here is basically incredible. So GitHub context .go returns a GitHub authentication context. So what I need to do is create a context for Auth0. But first, let me catch up on chat. So seems there is a conversation that I'm not a part of with Jaxo, Cameron Nicholson, and Jumpystick. Hey, Jumpystick, welcome. And then, yeah, exactly. So Kavariu X, oh my God, Kavariu X. What does being a senior dev means? What are your responsibilities? So it changes between senior devs and other senior devs. At this point, for me, in my career, basically since a couple years ago or 3 years ago, it means leading teams. And being responsible for architectural decisions, and also being responsible for schedules, being responsible for priorities, and being I wouldn't say being the final say, but being the point of questions, the source of who you go to ask questions, who do you go to ask if you don't know something, and so on and so forth. So that what senior engineer means to me, I guess. Okay. So let's go ahead and continue here. And Cavariu X, let me know if I didn't. Okay. It seems like you have a follow-up question already. So technically, a junior dev could be more experienced than you. No, no, definitely not. So the seniority, you make. So it's not even about higher level decisions or lower level decisions or anything like that. It's just you do more of everything. So for example, let me tell you something, right? So for example, if we need to deploy to create a new feature, then the junior engineer will say, okay, so I'll need a technical design for this, and the technical design is getting reviewed. So in most places that I worked at, principal engineers don't exist. And if you insist on that, then I'm a principal engineer. But even as a senior engineer, I did that. So Kenzo Dev, where you work, are the engineers responsible for operations, or do you have a DevOps team? So the place that I work is pretty unique, because what happens is that Kavariu, thank you for the follow, Mike. Thank you. Much appreciated. And if you have follow-up questions, then let me know. So where I work is quite unique because we have very strict access control. So normally what happens in startups and like the cloud is that you get some AWS keys and then you have the access to the kingdom. For us, it is very strict, and no one has access higher than what they really should have. So for us, the DevOps team does operations completely, everything the DevOps team does. I actually lead the DevOps team. I am not the product manager of the DevOps team, but I lead the DevOps team. And we're the only one that do operations. Okay. So if you have any questions, please ask, and I do hope you stick around. Okay, is that your script for people following? Am I not following script? One second, I will meet you on the second floor. excuse me for that. I need to stand. Okay, awesome. Follow the call script exactly. It's like, she's like yelling at me. A senior engineer have to know everything. Let's say a junior knows Angular and a senior don't. It doesn't mean the junior knows more. Senior oversees a more high-level point of view, more responsibility when it comes to project than a senior guy you might not understand. Yeah, exactly. The junior guy you might not understand. Exactly. And that's my point exactly, right? It's like, it's like, I have two teams that I lead right now, and as a as a team lead, you or senior engineer, principal engineer, So when I say team lead, senior engineer, or principal engineer, I mean the same thing. You guys, take it wherever you want to take it. So as the principal engineer, team lead, senior engineer, you need to know a lot more than the people working with you. And that does not mean that you are a better engineer than them. Although in most cases, sometimes that is the case. But you know the system better. You know how things interact better. You know what the CTO wants better. You have more access to the CTO. You have more access to the other team members, right? So that's what it is, to me. But if you follow the stream, more than a couple of minutes, then I do all right coding too. With a couple languages, so I don't know. I guess that's that. I think, yeah. If you have more questions than that, then how does a junior engineer become a senior engineer? So first of all, time. First of all, it's time, and I think today people move up too soon. What you see is people going and working at a at a startup for like 2 years, and then they open a startup, and then they're CTO. After 2 years of career, I think that's ridiculous. I'm not saying it's not legitimate. I'm saying it's ridiculous. So I think first and foremost, it's about time, and you got to give it time. You got to mature. You got to understand how systems work. You got to work on more than one system, in more than one field, and in more than one company, and understand the structure and understand the limitations and how teams work and how you need to talk to people and stuff like that. And there's also a jump between senior engineer to a team lead. I think a lot of people fail that. I know for me, the first couple of years were very, very hard. I think people that worked with me hated me, because I thought the sun shines out of my ass. And you understand when you work in a team and when you work with people, then you need meetings sometimes, and sometimes you need to understand what people think and understand how they act and stuff like that. So there are those jumps between this and that, and definitely to architect as well. But yeah, follow the call script or you're fired. So it means that you are more experienced with the product or service you are working on, and you manage all the parts. No, I don't think that's what it means. What it means is that you have a bigger vision into how things work. So, for example, if an engineer wants to do something, let's say run a migration on some data, right? So they think that their data is all that matters, but then you realize that if you do that, then you have projects in progress that might break, and that you have other services that depend on that data, and you have other databases that depend on that data. And you just you just talk through it and do that. I always say the difference between a junior engineer and a senior engineer is how large of a repository of experiences and systems they have. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. You can have 10 years of experience in working on some like enterprise Java software, and then moving to Silicon Valley and literally be a junior engineer. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. I'm gonna put my computer on Do Not Disturb. Just 1 second. No, but if I do it on Do Not Disturb, then I don't. Okay, let's put it on Do Not Disturb. Let's see what it does. So like I said, you can be working on some Java repository in your like old company for 10 years, and then move to Silicon Valley and work on some web app and literally be a junior engineer because you have no idea what you're doing, and you never touched the database. So things like that, I guess. Senior engineers are engineers that had a child and that child joined the team. I guess so. Okay, so here we have a GitHub authentication context. And then what do we have here? So we have the is access token valid. So where is this? So where is this being called? All right, so this is in authentication context and in GitHub auth context and in listeners. Okay, so this is, okay. So this is actually here, and then the token comes from, so where does the token actually come from? So the token is the cookie value. Oh, and then the cookie value is being set here. All right, I get it now. Okay. I am now up to speed with the code I wrote 2 weeks ago. Senior engineers are okay, great. So where are we now? All right, so let's go ahead and do the auth context. Great. And then what we're going to do is create a file called Auth0 Auth Context.go. And then this is going to be a struct of Auth0 Auth Context. And then func, which is new auth Auth0 Auth Context. Do we need something here? Let's look at the GitHub authentication context. Oh, we need the config. Okay, so the config, which is part of the configuration. Great, and then this returns a pointer to Auth0 Auth Context. Amazeballs. Okay. All right, cool. So then this will accept the config, and this will likely require an auth domain, which is going to be a string. A client, I can type today client ID, which is going to be a string, and a client secret, which is going to be a string as well. And I think what we also need is the cookie name, which is going to be a string. And I think what we need to do is add that to here, which is going to be a string as well. Now let's go ahead and sort this, and let's go ahead and sort this as well, just to make it nicer looking. And what we're going to do is get cookie name, which is going to be a string. Great. And then here we are going to create a method for the GitHub authentication context. Nope, that's not what I want. So GitHub auth context, which is get cookie name, and this is going to return a string. And what did we call this? So GitHub token. Great. So then we are going to return GitHub token. Awesome. So then this is going to be C dot divisible. Thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. So get cookie name. And is it C here? Yes, it is. And then in listeners, instead of GitHub here, we are going to say that this is l.auth.context.get cookie name. Okay, now let's go ahead and test. All right, so GitHub Auth Context line 173. Oh, here. Okay, great. Here, get cookie name here. Go test. Awesome. So now Auth0 line 12. Great. So then this is here. Let's close this and focus on Vim, and close this and also close this because we don't need it for now. And we do need the authentication context here. Okay. So let's close the search bar. Awesome. Now we're cooking. Great. So if we go here, then we return the Auth0 authentication context. And here we are going to get the variables from env. All right. And then so we're going to return this. And now what we need is to literally copy over the things, right? So then this is going to be a method of context. So this is going to be auth0 auth context, and this is going to be this, and this is going to accept a token string and return a boolean. And let's return false. Awesome. And then here we have this. So it's function of C as the auth0 auth context of get username, and let's return this. Great. And now this, which is function of C as auth0 as well. All right. And here we are going to return an empty string as well. And then the method of C again, auth0 auth context of get cookie name. Oh, that's not what I wanted. So get cookie name, and this is going to return a string. And here what we can do is already return auth0 token. Great. And then we need the final one for serve HTTP. All right, so auth0 auth context, serve HTTP, and this is going to be here. Okay, so one other thing we need is we need a redirect. So here, what we do is, do we redirect you to GitHub? We do, right? So we redirect you to GitHub. Yeah, so we need that template. So what happens here, and let's go ahead and try to run the project for a second. So let's go test here, and then auth0 auth context, and go imports. Awesome. Where is NetHTTP even? Okay. So go test. Great. So our tests are passing. Right. Right. So if we go ahead and we build this. So go build. And we run the auth proxy on -- listen port of 8080. Where is this? Come on. Auth proxy and -- listen port of 8080 and -- config of config.json. What is it? Is it config file? Come on, file. Okay. So auth proxy -- help config location. Oh my goodness, this is bad. Config location. Great. So if we go to localhost 8080, then what we see is that this does like the GitHub authentication proxy and then login to begin. So this basically means that somewhere we are hard coding this. So let's go ahead and see where that is. My bet is that it's somewhere in the auth proxy here. So let's look at where we are. So we are in listeners, and my bet is that it's in listeners and it shouldn't be there. Okay, yeah, there it is. There it is. Okay. So this should actually be in. So this part should actually be in the authentication context as well. This public HTML should be returned from our authentication context. Otherwise, what is the entire point? Okay, so here, so all we need is to basically move this into the authentication proxy, and we're done. So let's go ahead and do that. Yeah. Oh my God, the long flag names, I know. So before I do that, let's go ahead and go here and proxy. So listen is going to be listen, and config location is going to be config. Okay, great. That's it. Now you can give me a hard time on my long things. So proxy location. Okay, great. So I see this is not even here. So overall architecture, and then feature, and then config file, then envars, and then usage. There it is. So listen port is going to be listen, and config location is going to be config. There. So the README is there as well. Now, for GitHub, then you also need a couple of variables. So env variables vars you will need to config in order for the proxy to work. Great. And then here, this is going to be for Auth0. And let's add to do here. Great. Awesome. And here. Great. So now in our GitHub auth context, what we're going to do is create a function called a login page, or actually it should be a method. So the method is GitHub auth context, and this is going to be get login page. Great, and we need that in the authentication context as well. By the way, if I'm moving too slow, or too fast, or something is unclear, please feel free to let me know. Okay. Okay, so do you think it'd be possible to explain what you're doing and what each thing you're doing does? Uh, I was like, oh, not cute. Just listen to my answer and then you'll understand why I'm laughing. So the question is, do you think it'd be possible to explain what you're doing and what each thing you're doing does? I'm really new, and I'm trying to understand the mentality, thought process of coding. And then Natki is saying speed is super impressive, and divisible is I think it's beyond starter level. So, not to say you're not welcome here, you are, but I think you will have an extremely hard time following this. And I think it will have the reverse effect of discouraging you. And I always say that on my stream, people that kind of watch me work and people that like always want to get into Vim and always kind of, say, oh my God, this is too fast and you need to slow down. And I really try to do that as well. But I think the gap between this and the speed that you expect it to be is unbridgeable. I'm definitely gonna try, but I don't know if I can, because this is, beyond even the process of me coding. This project is a bit complicated to comprehend. What is a proxy? Yeah, exactly. So if someone can explain in chat, that's great. But it's gonna be hard for me. I'm gonna try. That's my point. Okay. So, and NotQ, thank you for the compliment. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Great. So what do we do here? So in listeners, what we need to do is move this thing, the public HTML and bytes here, which is basically a compiled Golang bytes of our context, of our login page. So if I go ahead and I do that, so you can see that here. So this returns bytes and errors, and it actually returns the public authentication HTML, which is here. Now, this is not something that I coded. This is something that comes in with Golang, and you can basically compile HTML files, CSS files, JavaScript file into their bytecode. And then you basically return those bytes. So when you compile your package, so when you compile your package, it actually carries with it the static HTML file. And this is super important in Golang. So here, what I'm going to do is get login page here, and this is going to be a string. This is going to be byte and error, right? Byte and an error. Are those stars actually tubs and or spaces? Yes, those are tabs. And my Vim is like highlighting those tabs. And they're actually dots, so great. So then here, instead of doing this, this is going to be l.auth context.get login page. Now in GitHub auth context, I am going to return this. And again, this is going to return bytes and error. All right. I'm actually used to it, so I don't even see that anymore. and Go is not my main language. So and not the language that I code with most of my day. So it doesn't actually bother me every single minute of every single day. So I guess I kind of got used to that. Okay, so this will return the Auth Context get login page. Now, if I try to build, it will fail. Well, it will not fail yet. But what happens if I try to use this interface? It will tell me that I can't use it because the interface is not fulfilled by Auth0 Auth Context, because it does not have this get login page. Auth0 Auth Context. Great. So now Auth0 auth.html. Okay. All right. So now what I need to do is here I need to create a public and then auth0 login.html, and then this is going to be auth0 authentication proxy. And what this is going to do is redirect me to GitHub, to Auth0. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm simply going to copy the public hosted page here. Where is that? All right, so preview, and then I'm going to copy this. So then this is going to be here. Right, and then we are going to be adding that to the listeners. So here in listeners, the context. All right, so GitHub. Great, and then HTTP listeners and configuration. Great, so here, if the authentication context name is going to be auth0, then this is going to return new auth0 auth context. Great. Now, what do I need to do to generate that template? That's a bummer. I don't remember what I need to do to generate that template, but let me go ahead and try to remember. Just 1 second. So go generate HTML to bytes. I'm sure that there is something like that. It's a template. Is it minify? Just 1 second. I don't remember what is it called. All right, let's see. Maybe that file has this. So templates.go. Yeah, go bin data. All right, so go bin data. Cool. Thank you for that comment. Go bin data. Go bin data. And then we have go bin data and then the out. Great. So what we can do here is go bin data and then public and then out is templates.go. What? This should be here. -o templates.go and public. Okay. So now templates.go has the package main, should have auth proxy. And auth0 should be here, and there it is. So this is going to be public auth0. So auth0 auth context is going to be here. So we are going to return this. Okay, so now our auth0 is compiled into our things, and we're going to do go test. And configuration.go line 31. Okay, so line 31, c dot authentication context equals this, and then this is C. And go build and go test, And all of our tests are passing. Great. Now, all of our tests are passing because we still did not write tests for this specific context. But what I want to do now is build it. And what I should see is a brand new Auth0 login page. And now that I changed the configuration, I need to actually run this with this configuration or these flags. Now, if I go to localhost 8080, I still see GitHub authentication proxy because my config is still saying GitHub. So all I need to do is change it to Auth0 and then run the auth proxy again and blow up. Okay, so now line 20 in listeners.go, line 20, what's going on? Line 20. So HTTP auth context.http endpoint prefix. Okay. Oh, I see. So this should be here. Callback. Great. So then build and auth proxy. Refresh. And we have the Auth0 authentication proxy. And I do log in. And when I do that, I get my default app authentication proxy. So far, so good. So what did we do so far? So we typed a lot and we talked a lot, but not a lot changed. So this is done actually. And if we don't have a client ID, Auth0 should become a template. This is not done. And then Auth0 HTML should become a template and pass in the client ID and the domain. So this is here and this is here. This should go here. This should go here. If you don't have a client ID, should go here. Okay. So now, what is going on? So let's see what's going on. What did I do? Okay. I don't know what I did, but I did something. So now we need to actually do the process of making this thing happen. So before we actually do that, what I want to do is ngrok. So ngrok http 8080. And then I want to take this forwarding address. And I want to put this in my settings. So clients, and then we have the default app. And then this will have an callback URL, and this is going to be callback. And use Auth0 instead, and then save changes. Great. So what should happen now is if I go here. Oh, this is not working yet. Okay, so if I go here, then I should see a login page, and I do. And when I log in successfully, so let's go here. And log in. I go to my callback with the code, and I get nothing. Okay, and I get nothing by design because there is nothing here. So just so you know, a thing to note, when there is no code, nothing happens. Okay, so this is something I found out pretty early in my career, but still, worth it to mention. So when there is no code, nothing happens, good or bad. Got it. Just so you know, I gotta be an educator here too, right? Okay. So now, Kappa, exactly. So what do I need to actually be doing now, other than joking? What I need to be doing is coming back in a minute because it's getting toasty in here. So I want to turn on the air conditioner. So I am coming back in 1 minute.
Okay, I am back, and I actually changed my mind. Oh, the beer is green. Oh, the beer is green. I mean, the bottle is green, not the beer is green, obviously. But cheers. I changed my mind instead of water. All right. So cheers, people in the chain room, in the chat room. So cheers, and thank you for being here with me. 25 people at 9 p.m. On a Thursday. This is for you guys. You're amazing, all of you. Okay. Look at the beer. Like, oh, it's like so crazy that you can. Yeah, it's funny. Okay, awesome. So let's go ahead and see where we are. So we have the callback. And now what we need to do is we need to copy the client ID and the secret. And obviously what I'm doing is taking this off the screen. So let's go ahead and take this off the screen. And auth cd code go src github cancel dev micro cmd here and auth0, and then I'm going to do export auth0 client ID, and I'm going to take the client ID from here, and then the secret, and I'm going to copy it from here and paste it here. And then what I can do here is source the dot auth0, and you can see echo auth0 client ID, and you can see the client ID here. Great. And you know what? Let's also do the domain. So let's copy this. Great. So I'm going to copy this into my my authentication file. Great. And then export domain, and this is going to be here. And then I can source it again and echo domain. Great. So I have the client ID, I have the client secret, and I have the domain. And what I need to do now is grab that into the config here and here. So this is client ID and client secret, and this is going to be auth0, and this is going to be auth0 client secret, and domain. Actually, this is going to be auth domain. This is going to be os.get env. What's going on here? And domain here and here, and go imports here. What is going on? Oh, I'm missing this one here. Okay, and then go imports. Come on. What am I missing? Oh, here. Okay. Go imports. This is so this is already done. And actually, this cookie name is not needed. This is pretty hard-coded. Okay, so now we have that. And what we can see, there was some Golang, like this one here. So here we have this domain, and we have a configuration. And then we get a token. So let's go ahead and do this. And this should be in the serve HTTP part. And this should not actually be here. This should be c dot client ID, and this should be c.client secret, and this should be what, redirect URI. Why would I care about that? Why would I care about that really? I don't want that for now. Oh, I need that. Okay. Okay, so let's do callback URL. And then this is going to be a string. And then this is going to be callback URL. And then this is Auth0 domain. And this is Auth0 callback URL. Okay, so then this is going to be this and c dot callback URL. Okay, so let me put those in here. And then this is Auth0 domain and Auth0 callback URL. And this is the ngrok domain here and callback. Okay, so now let's go here and source again, and we should be good. Okay, so now this is c.domain, and actually let's do this like not like we're idiots. So fmt.sprint f, and then https, and then *s, and then slash. What is this? Authorize endpoint, Auth0 endpoint, and then token. Oh, okay, so this should be authorize, and then this is c.domain, and then this is going to be the same thing, but with OAuth and token, OAuth token. And go imports, which should bring us FMT, and it did. Awesome. So now this is url.query code, and then token, which is this in the code. Awesome. And then here, let's go ahead and look at the GitHub auth context. So what do we do here? We do the cookie, right? So expiration, and then cookie, and then redirect. Right? Expiration, and then cookie. Why is this GitHub response? So this should be... Wait a minute. So this is the token. Oh, and then I get, with the token, I get the user info. Okay. But for now, what I want is just to save this token. All right? So go imports, and let's go ahead and build, and we probably have a few errors. Oh, I need to import this. So this, and go get, and then build. Okay, great. So now line 51 is c dot, oh, it's auth domain. And then this is auth domain. Go build. All right. And then line 56. So code is R, and this is why is this R? So this is REQ, right? Yes, REQ, and build, and another final one, line 68. Cannot use type OAuth token dot token. Okay, so what is our actual token? So what is our actual token? So let's see, what is the type? So the type is OAuth2.token. Golang, and then here token, and then this is, we have type and we have valid and we have with extra, and don't we have the value? How do I get the token there? How do I get the token like value? Token dot type, and then we have the valid. Type returns token type. Oh, it's bear. Okay. So how do I get the token value? So there it is, the access token, I guess. Access token is the token that authorizes and authenticates. Okay, so token dot access token is what I need to save here. So let's do that and build. Great, and auth proxy and refresh. No, this is not what we should get. We should get this. Get this and then log in. Okay, we get this and we get login back, and then auth token no host in request URL. Okay, so then here Auth0 domain. What do we do here? So echo Auth0 domain. So this is clear. Oh, I get it. Okay. So Auth0 domain, Auth0 callback. Great. And source it. And auth proxy again. Refresh. And we get your access has been denied. Okay, great. Well, not great, but something. All right. So let's inspect. Application cookie here. Oh, there it is. We have an Auth0 token. Great. Although I feel the token should be bigger, but that's okay for now. Okay, great. So obviously you shouldn't, I'm gonna revoke all the tokens after the stream. Okay. So now what? Now let's go here, and we now get the client, and then this is the client. Thank you, Divisible. Nice to meet you too. Catch you on the next stream for sure. Right, then profile, then JSON on Marshall, and then session. So raw, and then error. Okay, so client, and then configuration.client, and we get the user info, and then the profile, and we unmarshal the profile. Okay, so let's go here. And before we actually do that, let's take the conf.client and take this again with fmt sprint f with the domain here. And then this is going to be c.auth domain. Awesome. And then error, HTTP status, raw. Okay. Okay, and then raw here. And then profile. And what I want is fmt print line with the profile. This is what I want for now, right? So let's go imports. What is going on? Oh my goodness, what is going on? Okay, so go imports here. Okay. So now go imports. Awesome. So now build and run the auth proxy again. And what I should see is after login, I should be able to see my profile. So let's go ahead and log in. I get the callback. And what I should see is a profile. And I get map. And then we get the email verified. And what do we get? What do we get here? So we get identities and provider is Auth0.
What do we get? Do we get the email? Yes, we get the email. Okay, so we get the email. We get the user ID and we get the email. Do we get role? I don't see role. Okay, so we need roles. Ulrich 10, thank you for the follow. Okay, so Auth0 roles. So how do we do that? So we have users, and this is my user. Okay, this is my user, blah, 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 user metadata. Okay, so we have metadata. So data that the user has access to read, color preference, blog. Okay, so we have devices, raw JSON, and authorized clients. Okay. 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 Cool. So now here, now this is the problem here. Now here, I need this token in order to verify the user. And this token is a problem for me. So let's see what is going on here. So this is the GitHub one, Auth0 Auth Context. And then this is a token, awesome token, and error, and conf.exchange. And then this is the code. And here, I'm actually passing the token. So I don't know if I need the access token, the refresh token, or what part of the token do I need? Because there's access token, and then there's token type, and then there's refresh token, and then there's expiry. So what I want to avoid is saving this as a JSON to the cookie. So I definitely want to avoid that. On one hand. On the other hand, I rather not go through the trouble if all I need is the token. So what I'm looking for here is APIs. And then what do we need here? So user info here, and then the client, and then user info. Okay. So then user info. So there it is, authorized API index. Okay. So this one, and then APIs from client side, APIs from service. Okay. So Auth0 validates this information and returns an access token. The application can use access token to call the API on behalf of itself. So it seems like all I need here is the access token. Okay, so then here I can use this. Okay, so then this is the token. And here, and get username from access token. Okay. So then here we do this. And in GitHub Auth Context, GitHub user, and then get username is C valid access tokens, which is a map of string and strings. And then this is going to the valid access tokens, and we store that. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, I see that. Okay, so we actually need to return this. And then here we have the valid access tokens. Here, which is a map of string and string. And then here we store this. So user exists is in array GitHub user and username, and then usernames, which is a map of username of config.user, and then we return the user, which is the GitHub user, which has an ID and a username. Okay, I get it. Okay. I get it. So now let's look at our config. Configuration.go. And we have users. We do, which is a user, which has a username and a restrict. Okay. In array of GitHub user and usernames. Okay. So here, in array, where is in array? In array is here. So let's do this. This is array.go, and this should be here. Great. And then profile. So username is profile and email. Okay. And then here, if in array username in config.users, then what? So here we do GitHub Auth Context in array, and then here this is this, and then this is going to be username. Xyrus, thank you for the follow, much appreciated. So this is going to be username, and then this is going to be token.access token. Okay. And then this is going to be, oh, I see. Okay, so all I need to do is actually here return true, because I'm doing this in the same stage. Okay, so return true, otherwise return false. Okay, and what else is get username, and get username, all it does is returns this. Okay, so now let's go ahead and change the config.json from username to this. And let's bet on ourselves and say that we need to do go build. And we don't, so access token. What is this? Oh, here. So this is access token. Yeah, so this should be, whoops, that's not what I wanted. So here, access token. Great, and now line 32. What? Access token, what is the issue? Valid access tokens, valid access tokens. So what is the issue? Line 106. Config dot users. Okay, so array dot go. In array, val is string and array is string. So then this is username. Cannot use username, type interface is type string. Okay, so var username string, and then username equals to this. Great, and then 105. Username is profile email. So how do I do that? Is it like string here? I don't remember how do I cast this. I think it's string here. Go
build. Cannot convert profile type interface to type string. Need type assertion. Okay, so Golang cast to string strconv. What? Yeah. So that's what I thought, but for some reason that didn't work. So dot string. Go build, undefined config, line 107. Yeah, so where is the config? So this is c.config. Okay, and then config is config. And here config is config. Go build. All right, so line 15. What? Oh, it's configuration. Okay, go build. Come on. 109. Cannot use c.config.users. Type user. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, so here in array, and then this is usernames. Great. So then this is map username, c.config.user, func user interface, user.username. Great. And let's do here. This is, instead of c.config.user, this is going to be usernames. And then this is going to build. All right, so auth proxy. Now we're getting somewhere. Now let's go here and refresh. Awesome, so we should be clear and refresh. We should be logged in. So log in and we do this. And then we cannot fetch token 403 forbidden invalid authorization code. What? Source.auth0. Okay. I literally have no idea what's going on now. Okay, so cannot fetch token 403 forbidden. So I get that from Auth0, and I don't get the token. So that basically means that the code, so token equals, oh, I see. So I'm missing some code here that used to be here. Wait a second. So there is a token. So token and error is conf.exchange. And then this is going to be here. This is Auth0 client ID, Auth0 client secret, which I do have. And then Auth0 callback URL, which I do have. So where is this actually happening? So Auth0 response error, invalid grant, error description, invalid authorization code. Internal, and then status internal. All of this is here. So let's go and kind of start to say fmt.print. Oh, you know what? Maybe this crashed here. So server, panic, Auth0 context line 114. 114 here. What? How could it be 114? There is no, it doesn't make sense that it's 114. Username, token, access token. Oh, you know what? Okay, so I think this should be here. Access token should be token.access token. And then this should be access token. And then this should be access token as well. because I think this actually goes and tries to redo it. Access token, line 82. Okay, so this is access token. Build and auth proxy. Okay. So we have about 19 people here. First of all, thank you for being here. Second of all, if you have questions, please let me know. I would definitely love to answer any questions. And if you enjoy the content and you're not yet following, please do follow. I really appreciate it. Okay. All right, so there it is. So we have this in line 116. This makes 0 sense in this specific line that it crashes. Let's see, fmt.print line and username. This makes 0 sense to crash on this line, to be honest. With this specific crash. TMW? What is TMW? Okay, this. Oh, ngrok TP 8080. So let's go ahead and do that again here. And let's go ahead to here and change this to the new ngrok here and save. Okay. Okay, email verified here. So let's go ahead and log in. We get this, the client, and then this. Okay, and then cannot fetch response. And we expected this. Okay, great. So here I need to change that as well. Come on, this is stupid. All right, so then source and then auth proxy. Oh, that moment went okay. Sorry, I literally had no idea what you're saying. Okay, so here, then I get the forbidden thing. This makes no sense. But I also don't see the, oh, I do see the username. What is going on? Valid access tokens. This is just a map. If in array username in usernames, which is what we want, user the interface, return user and usernames. And then let's return the usernames here as well. And then c.valid access tokens. So GitHub Auth Context. Oh, you know what? This is the problem. Why would this return a 403 though? So build here. So I forgot to initialize the authentication proxy. I forgot to initialize the valid access tokens. Okay, so here, and then we have tunnel not found. Did I close the tunnel again? Here is the tunnel. Here is the tunnel. Oh, that's actually great. That means that I'm logged in and it's not finding the other tunnel. Oh, that is awesome. Okay, this is great. Oh, this is great. This is actually feature complete. Oh my god.
Okay, this was what? Okay, so this is actually working. Okay, so let's do this and do this and here and add the readme and add listeners and add authentication context and add Auth0 context and public Auth0 HTML and git add array.go. Null 513, how are you? Add GitHub Auth Context and git add cmd auth proxy main.go. Add cmd auth proxy config templates readme and configuration. Okay. Awesome. So let's look at the amount of code that we wrote here. So nothing to be ashamed of. Yeah, pretty much a lot of code. And we have Auth0 authentication context as well. So git commit -m and then Auth0 authentication context is working. Right, and git push browse and let's see where we are. Awesome. Wow, this is an hour and a half of work. I mean, come on. Be honest here. This is pretty awesome. Right. So this is templates, Auth0. Let's see that we did not commit a secret.